Welcome to Maono Prayer Center, where petitions to the courtrooms of heaven are filed.
Hello, how are you? Do you want to know how to tame your male ego and save your marriage? Please listen to me. I'll tell you how I conquered my male ego and saved my marriage. So sit back and listen. Okay, in my married life, the more I wanted to change, to be a good man, be a good husband, to be a good father, the more things remain the same. Why? Because of the male ego in me. I always found myself doing what I didn't want to do to my children, to my wife. And also I found myself saying things which I did not want to say to my wife, to my children. Why? Because of the male ego in me. I tried, my dear man, I tried all I could to be a loving husband to my wife. It was difficult. I tried to be a good, caring father to my children. Loving, I couldn't. But my male ego was pulling me down in every effort I made to please my family. At least to say I'm sorry, that was a big issue because of my male ego. As things I felt like doing, but I couldn't do. Why? Because of the male ego. Now, it then dawned on me, my dear man, that I was not going to achieve my goals with my own strength. Because I tried. I had to look for a higher power to enable me to do that. Therefore, I had to purpose to go down on my knees. Yes, I went down on my knees purposely and filed a petition to God against the male ego inside me. And it's through this application that I was delivered. Now, in that mood of prayer, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, I was led to the book of John, chapter 3, verse 3. Then I read up to verse 7. And when I was in that mood of prayer and meditating about my life, my marriage, something happened to me. I thank God for that moment. I died to myself. If you look at that verse, John chapter 3, verse 3, then you read up to verse 7, you'll see what happened to me. I died to myself, meaning the old self, which was driven by the male ego, died away. And the new self came into my life. Hallelujah. As a result, my dear man, my dear friend, the commander-in-chief in me, the male ego, was sanitized by the blood of Jesus. And since then, my marriage has never been the same again. The commander-in-chief, the enemy of self, I mean the male ego, was conquered. From then, there is nothing I can't do in my house. There is nothing I can't say in my house. I tell my wife all the time, I love you. My children, I tell them, I love you. I can cook for them, do all stuff in the house. Why? The male ego has been conquered. I died to myself. The old self died, and the new self came into being. Let me give a special appeal to you, all men. This is a special appeal to all men listening to this message. My fellow men, you need God to conquer the dictates of your male ego inside you, driving you to say things you don't want to say, stopping you from doing things you should do to your family. You cannot manage it by your own strength. That ego, you cannot manage it. You need God. Because what you will want to do, you will not do. And what you will want to say to your wife, you will not say. It needs conquered. Your ego needs to be sanitized by the blood of Jesus. Yes, by the blood of Jesus. That is the way to go. Otherwise, you will endure life. You will endure marriage instead of enjoying it. You know, marriage is supposed to be enjoyed, not be endured. words you say to your spouse and they come back to you as an echo. You not hear them. As you speak kindness, you receive back kindness. You see that act of service, you do it, you see them come to you. Which man? Who not like that kind of life? Who? It is from this background, my dear man, my dear friend, fellow men, that I advise you as follows. Number one, what do you need to do to conquer that ego in you? Seek God's intervention to conquer it. Otherwise, you can't do it on your own self. The first step, therefore, is to purpose to bring up the family the way God intended you to do. Like I did, please purpose. Discard all the cultural values that you have learned over generations. They are irrelevant in this generation in which you are living now. Don't treat your wife like a child of a lesser God. No. Before God's eyes, you are all the same. That's your helper. She came to help you. Number two, don't try to change your wife. I know before even you found her, before even you started dating, they start wife you had in mind, that dream wife. Don't try to change her to be that wife you have been dreaming all along. No, the first thing you have to do is to change yourself. How do you change yourself? You can only change the expectations of your male ego if you want to change yourself. So don't try to change your wife. Change yourself first. Remember, this lady came to give you support. Please talk to your male ego to see the ground, to allow you to change yourself first. Cannot stress that enough. That's number two. Number three, in marriage, my friend, my fellow man, you are not the custodian of ideas. There are some women who are even more than you. So what you don't know, she knows. What you know, maybe she doesn't know. So in marriage, you are not the custodian of ideas. Please tell your male ego that modern marriage has got no place of self-centeredness. You must consult, number one. Number two, consult. Number three, consult. Consult to agree to disagree with your wife in whatever you want to do in life. Don't do it alone. Whenever you want to do something, consult her, tell her, sit down and agree how that is going to be executed. Now, this concept, my fellow men, this concept of me, myself, and I should be discarded. It has got no place in the modern marriage. It doesn't have. Accept. Learn to accept to be corrected when you are wrong. Number four, learn to say sorry, my dear wife. Sorry, my dear daughter. Sorry, my dear son. You know, whenever you have affected them. In this generation, young man, old man, in this generation in which we are, you should be sensitive to other people's feelings. It's not like those, our ancestral generation, where men used to mistreat their children, mistreat their wives at ease, as if they didn't have feelings. No. In this generation in which we are, if you want to sustain your marriage, you should be sensitive to your family feelings, your wife's feelings, your children's feelings. Learn to say sorry to your children and the wife whenever you have hurt them and maybe you have done something wrong. Learn to say, my dear son, I'm sorry I did that. My dear daughter, sorry I shortchanged in that. My dear wife, my loving wife, forgive me, I did that. It was my fault. Learn to say that. Don't say it in the inside. No, just verbalize it. Talk it to them and show it in the face that you mean it. They need that. They need to hear it in order to see it here, written here, that sorry, yeah, so that they can hear. Number five, men, go to the kitchen and cook for your family. Yes, I say, go to the kitchen and cook for your family. Don't be operating a remote like this on TV, remote like this, whenever your wife is multitasking in the kitchen, a child on the back, vegetable cooking here, ugali being cooked here, dishes being washed here. It's also watching the kids down there on the floor. You are there with your remote. Shame on you because of that ego in you, that you are not supposed to take care of children. You are not supposed to cook. You are not supposed to wash dishes. Really? Your wife was meant to be your helper. Please, therefore, assist her to assist you in the house. Did you hear what I said? I said, help her, assist her in the house chores. After all, they are meant to be yours. He's only assisting you to accomplish that which God intended you to do. Tell your male ego that it is your domestic duty, after all, to do the work with the help of your wife. The wife is supposed to help you biblically with your work. So whatever he's doing in that kitchen is assisting you. Therefore, she can't assist you when you are seated there with the remote like this. Number 6, don't feel intimidated by the success of your wife. Most men get intimidated with the success of your wife. Let me say one thing up front. Husband and wife are not in competition. If you are competing with your husband, if you are competing with your wife, then you are not married. Something wrong is which needs attention is in the offing. You must be assisted. If you are competing with your spouse, then something terribly wrong is in that marriage. Please, therefore, young man, tell your male ego that money is not tied to what it means to be a man. What did I say? Money does not define masculinity, no. Or success does not define masculinity, no. A man is a man with his own qualities. Therefore, if your wife does better in things that God enabled her to be, then don't be frustrated. Don't be intimidated. Successful and mature women, whatever they are, don't have a problem with a husband with an unimpressive job or without a job. They generally have a problem with a husband who has got no plan, no clue what he's supposed to do, no motivation, just seated there like a child, like a boy. That's the kind of man they have a problem with. Therefore, let your male ego know that you and your wife are not in competition. I cannot stress that also enough. Number 7, don't fear to be criticized by your wife. Positive criticisms or constructive criticisms from your wife is designed to enable you realize your full potential and promote you, or promote your growth. People grow because of being criticized. Constructive criticism, you shouldn't have done this, my husband. You should have done that. Don't take it negative. Don't take it personal. Please ask your male ego not to let you accommodate such criticisms without which you will never, ever grow. Ask your male ego to accept and accommodate criticisms from your wife, and don't take them negative, so long as they're constructive. Otherwise, without your wife criticizing you, you will go beyond, you will cross the midline without you knowing. You will cross the boundary without you knowing. So that criticism is healthy for you. It will keep you within your boundaries. Without criticism, you will never know when you are crossing the midline, the moral midline, if I can call it like that. Number 8, don't treat your wife like your servant in the house. You do not marry as a servant. You married a companion, a helper, to help you what you're supposed to be doing. Now, please, therefore, tell your male ego that your wife is not your worker. She is not a slave. She is not a servant or even a sex worker in the house, but your God-given helper. Please, therefore, make her feel loved, cared for, needed, relevant, and wanted in that relationship. Don't treat her like your servant. Therefore, treat her like one of you. Number 9, men, do not demand respect from your wife and the children. Instead, command it. You command it, develop it, that let them see that respect in you. They feel to respect you, by what you do, what you say, how you treat them. Command your respect. Don't demand it. Yeah. Although it is a man's emotional need anyway to feel respected by his wife and children, you need to command it instead of demanding it from them. Yeah. Please prevail upon the male ego to allow you exhibit or show or portray respect so that your family can reciprocate the same on their own volition without being told. Please note that respect is a two-way road, and therefore it is earned. Put it in, it comes out. Whatever you put in is what you'll get. Respect yourself to be respected, but don't demand respect if you don't have any. That's what I can say to you. Number 10, men, don't hesitate to use the words "I love you" to your wife and children. I know this word it's not in our vocabulary. We don't say that much, that I love you, no. But for the sake of your family, for the sake of your relationships, for the sake of your wife, for the sake of your children growth, feeling needed and wanted, please don't hesitate to use the words "I love you" to your wife and children. Of course, in the first generation, saying the narrative "I love you" was not easily said. I know. I grew in a society where I never had that "I love you" from my parents, none. But in this generation that we are living in, my fellow man, the narrative is like oxygen to everybody's, including even the male ego of yours. It is like oxygen in them. Tell your wife and children that you love them. Therefore, tell the male ego to allow you without feeling shy, to allow you to say, "I love you, my son. I love you, my daughter. I love you, my wife." Finally, never ever forget to say any of the following to your wife and children every day. Number 1, you can tell your wife or your children, "I love you." You can tell your wife or your children, "You are beautiful." Your daughter, "You are beautiful." Your wife, "You are beautiful." Your son, "You are handsome." Tell them, "I forgive you." My wife, "Forgive me." My son, "Forgive me." I am sorry. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Tell your wife, "If I were given another chance, I would marry you again." I just say 1 or 2 of these, even if you are full of yourself, even if you don't feeling like it, just say thank you when that food is served to you. Say, "I'm sorry" when you mess around. Say, "Forgive me, my daughter. Forgive me, my wife. I shortchanged you." Just say at least 1 or 2 every day to a member of your family, and you will see a change in your marriage. Now, there are 5 take-home points I would like you to take home. 5 take-home points. Number 1, don't let your ego take control of your life. You say no. Be in charge and save your marriage. Number 2, purpose to do whatever you want to do for the sake of your family. What other people think of you is none of their business. Just do what you think is right to do. Number 3, whatever you are arguing with your wife, you don't have to win every argument because you are a man. No, just agree to disagree without going personal. Number 4, whenever you are hurting in inside, it is more healing to cry with somebody than to cry alone. whenever you are hurting in the inside, those tears we men shed in the inside, whenever you're doing that, please don't cry alone. I beseech you, don't cry alone. Find somebody's shoulder and cry on. It is more healing to cry with someone than to cry alone in the inside. Number 5, please let the tears flow freely. Let them flow freely. Whenever you are emotionally hurt, let them flow freely. It is okay to let your wife and children see those tears flowing down freely from a man, from their father, from their husband. Let the tears flow. Do not get your emotions bottled up in a bottle. No, leave them flow. Those tears flow. They will turn toxic if you leave them flow in the inside. Let them flow freely in the outside, and you will heal. In the next subsequent videos, I'm going to reveal to you how the male ego causes men to die earlier than women. Please therefore subscribe and get notified when this is uploaded. Men, you must know this, how we dig our own graves early, how our children dig our own grave early, and even wives. Shalom.
Thank you so much for listening to us. We are extremely grateful. This message was brought to you courtesy of Maono Prayer Center. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Shalom.